It is D-Day in Wisconsin. We could be hearing about layoffs in the Wisconsin state government. Take a look at some of Governor Scott Walker yesterday.
That if we don't have a sign, if we don't action by tomorrow, we have a legal as well as a moral obligation to send out notification to the unions foretelling that beginning the first week of April, 1,500 state employees will have to be laid off for the equivalent of $30 million worth of savings.
All right, that's
and for more
from
on this,
Scott Walker in Wisconsin.
That's right. And for more on this, we turn to. Go ahead, John.
Go ahead.
All
Rick.
right. Amy Dean joins us now, a labor activist and author and pundit on all things labor. I want to ask you about what's going on right now in Wisconsin. I've seen some commentary recently saying that this actually could be a good thing for the labor movement. People are seeing this war on unions, Ohio limiting on collective bargaining rights, trying to do the same in Wisconsin and many other states. What are you seeing as the upshot for what this means for organized labor?
Well, first, I just want to say thanks for having me on the show this afternoon. It's my privilege to be here.
Good.
But the issues that are being discussed today are far greater than Democrat versus Republican, union versus non-union. But as my son said to me this morning when he knew I was coming on the show, and he said, "Mom, isn't what they're doing in Wisconsin what we're taught not to do in school, which is to break rules and to break promises?" And what's the issue here in Wisconsin is the fact that there are agreements in place and the governor is moving beyond those agreements and unilaterally using his power to decide what people get paid or not paid. And so this is really not an issue about union versus non-union or Democrats versus Republican, but it's about the rule of law and upholding that. And we should really uphold the rule of law, especially if we are elected leaders.
Well, now, I want to ask you about Chris Christie, who's also, of course, been clashing with unions in his state in New Jersey. Governor Christie, yesterday, very interesting exchange he had where he said that he is a, quote, "I'm a big fan of collective bargaining." And he said he likes to see a situation where, you don't even need the civil service rules. You got a long, hard-fought negotiations where everybody's got a seat at the table. What'd you make of Christie's comments?
Well, I think we have a very complicated economy that we exist in today. We have global capital flowing across borders. We're integrated into a world economy. The issues that we confront and the problems that we need to address are far more complicated than whether it's about collective bargaining or not. And I think for elected leaders in this country who are serious about rolling up their sleeves and solving the problems of our day, need to move away from the scapegoating and name-calling. It's absurd to think that our elected leaders would look at the global situation and say, our problem lies with collective bargaining and public employees. It's simply an oversimplification of a much larger set of complicated issues.
Amy, I'm sure you remember back to the 2008 campaign when then candidate Obama promised to get on his comfortable shoes and march along with protesters if ever collective bargaining rights were in jeopardy. What do you make of the White House leadership? He was active early on in Wisconsin, but we haven't heard much from them since then. They've dialed back some of their rhetoric and some of their on-the-ground support for protesters in Wisconsin and elsewhere.
It's a really important question, and I think what the president is doing is what every elected leader in this country needs to do right now, and that is to listen to real people. The president demonstrated after this last election cycle his capacity to listen to what voters were saying, and I think he's doing that again. He's listening to what people have to say, and I quite candidly think that all of our elected officials across this country need to do the same thing in following his lead.
So you don't think he should be acting more than listening at this point?
I think there are moments for action, there's moments for listening, and right now there's a lot of activity going on across this country, lots of voices at the table, which is all a good thing.
All right. Amy Dean, a labor activist, appreciate it. And John, you were itching to say something earlier. Spout it out already.
I was just trying to introduce our guest and point out that the name of her book is A New Deal. I mean, Rick,
all right, we get it, the New Deal.
Basic stuff.
These are the basics. These are the basics. Now, you don't think you misled people a little bit on the exclusive Gingrich interview at the top of the show, do you?
Hey, look, that was an exclusive Gingrich interview. It was exactly what it was. You saw it on Top Line.
All right. Don't forget to watch This Week on Sunday. Christiane Amanpour, twitter.com/Rick Klein, twitter.com/John Karl. We'll be here. Thanks.